Hi, I'm Toby Hodges, and this is the brand new XC47. What X-Yachts are claiming to be is the best blue water cruiser ever built. This XC47 only launched in early September, so that's a month ago, and it was trucked down here, rigged, and hasn't even done a boat show yet. They've already sold 7. I'm going to try and take you over the cockpit and interior. There's a lot of people trying to see it. Hopefully we'll sail it as well, or hopefully you're watching this having sailed it. But what is patently evident is just how much attention has gone in to the design and finish, quality and good ideas, and that has been born out of feedback from X-Yachts past owners, particularly of their XC range. And one thing that really wanted, and what X-Yachts have stressed they wanted to include throughout, is space, space, space. And this is very much a cruising boat for X, and you can tell that from the large deep cockpit, from the, I was about to say raised saloon, but it's a raised galley nav station area which we'll see below, but this raised coach roof area which floods the interior with light but also helps contribute to the volumes of the boat. But it's also been designed and rigged to be able to sail short-handed, to manage it by a couple easily. And what that means is you'll notice from here the running rigging is led from the mast base through conduits as friction-free as possible through this coach roof, and I'll show you again from inside where they actually run through where this black line is. That's the conduits for the running rigging running aft to these clutches here. Stowage, obviously massive for a blue water cruiser, and we will have a look in this locker here, because this shows you for a start just how much you get in the cockpit alone. I mean, this is a proper lazarette that goes completely beam wide. And I know you're probably thinking the same as I do, well, is this the tender locker? But it's not, because they've come up with an ingenious, I say ingenious whether it works or not, but a davit system that looks pretty clever. Access to the steering gear, there's your rudder quadrant, steering gear on a rack and pinion system, because X believe that's the most maintenance free version over wired steering, and easy obviously to get in some toys, folding bikes, whatever you want to carry in this area. They've also developed a system that helps you launch a life raft canister from here. So it's on gas struts, and it just helps push that life raft out of this locker. That there is the mechanism that goes down, as the dynamo that goes down to the actuators that control this bathing platform. So from this large aft deck bench area, you can see this is the bathing platform part here. The concept is that you use the bathing platform to hinge the dinghy down into the water, because that lowers the bathing platform down, and I will show you on the graphics here just how that works. So they've done this, you can see that as the platform goes down, it lowers these down, but also how the actual davits are hinged there to launch and recover the dinghy. It looks quite clever. 150 kilos per davit, so a 200 kilo dinghy in total. It's pretty sizable. And then because you have that huge deep lazarette locker, that's just a shallow cockpit locker there for lines and fenders, etc. Got your shower there, you got your lifting helmsman plates, foot braces, push pit, quarter seats there. And then another thing you probably noticed is these locker lids each side in the in the cockpit benches, and that's really just to give a view stroke if you want to look at the stars from your berth, but ventilation into those into the aft cabins. And again, that's from feedback from past owners wanting to get a bit more natural ventilation into the aft cabins if they are in there, especially in the Mediterranean. In terms of the cockpit, you can see it's nice deep coamings here, and that means you've got your aft facing reclining seat, but also pitched up against here, so you can sit feet forward, looking forward in there, which is quite a nice feature as well. Tailing lockers here, so you push a bit of button there to release that. Yes, it's a small opening. And in terms of covering, you know, we're in the hot sun now near Barcelona. You can see this has got a half height spray hood option there, but you can also have a fixed windscreen with a spray hood that comes here, and also a bimini which covers this whole cockpit area and the helm area as well, because it attaches here and it can be left up while sailing. I have asked that, so for those concerned about being exposed to the sun with aft helming position, there is the option to fully enclose all of this with clear panels to see the sails. So obviously this first boat is absolutely kitted out with every optional extra, including it being a full hybrid boat with an ocean vault system on there. And yeah, full teak decks, which they do offer flexi teak, and I'm sure most people will go that way in the future. You see here, this has a furler boom on it as well, and the Traveller is mounted forward of the spray hood, optional solar panels, and therefore just a bit of recharge on the service batteries rather than the propulsion batteries for this one. So you've got the inboard D shrouds in the deck here, but there's still good passageway through that. Maybe notice as well, good scupper on there and a nice wide chunky tow rail on the bulwark. This is a nice feature here. So this is not only to get at the Genoa track, but you can see from what I was talking about here, here's where the halyards lead under the deck through this turning block here, and then they're in straight stainless steel tubes, conduits through the coach roof as well to those aft. So they've really tried to keep the friction out of there as much as possible, and give you access for maintenance. Plenty of natural ventilation through all these hatches that open. No dorades, but there are a couple of, I'll show you from the inside, vents in the side of those coach roof windows. What you do get up here is a really good size sail locker, which you need. Furling coat and Jenica sails, which can fit in there, because that is really deep. Got a manual Genoa furler on this. You've got an angled bow roller to help that anchor set, and it's a really good chunky size bowsprit as well. So this one has a powered furler forward of the anchor roller. So with that 2/3 height spray head, you need to duck a bit to come down below, go through the companionway. But once you're down here, look just how much space and light there is. It's almost reminiscent really of an older pilot saloon design in terms of, you know, having those massive coach roof windows each side, and indeed forward facing coach roof window. It's just astonishing how much natural light is on here really, and that is, you know, you can see straight away it's got a lot of woodwork on here, a lot of oak on this boat. If you can imagine with white bulkheads or whatever, it would appear even more voluminous than it already does. What immediately stands out to me is the high quality of finish and the care and attention to detail into making the boat as usable and livable as possible. And by that I mean every bit of stowage has been made as accessible as possible. What do I mean by that? For starters, say, with a raised area like this, and with the volume you have in the deeper V sections, the bilges, it means you can get the tanks and batteries and that sort of thing all centralised, which opens up the amount of stowage you get below berths, in the cabins, in the saloon, and that sort of thing. So this has got a good tankage. It's got 560 litres of fuel, 640 litres of fuel, 500 litres of water, and a water maker. The water maker is contained beneath the galley here. But just everywhere you look, the stowage is maximised as well. And look, I mean, just look at that straw. I've just had to move into the aft cabin so I can show you the full amount of that. All the drawers are on soft closing mechanisms. All of the big lockers that hinge up are on gas struts. It's just really good throughout. A couple of style things to show you. So you would have noticed the very unique style of the sort of hexagonal windows there, which is a feature that they've repeated on the joinery as well as the handholds, and also the 3 stripes there, which are, you know, the trademark of the X look on the waterline. Moving back to the stowage, this raised stowage throughout the boat is going to be really valuable for long-term cruises and liveaboards. The whole boat they did a mock-up of in Haderslev in a Danish yard, that they could, the whole interior that they could then cant to 20 degrees each side. So they knew exactly what they were doing, what they wanted to achieve. So they wanted the exact geometries, the bracing you'd get around this galley, etc., was all mocked up before they built the boat. Well, we're in the galley. You have 150 litre drop down refrigeration space in there, and another 130 litres in the front opening fridge, or 80 litres if you had a freezer in there as well. Nice little feature is having these. Can I do this one-handed? Yeah. So there, and another one there. So you have something to stop things rattling around when you're at heel. Small double sink there with double waste bin, or triple actually, below it. In terms of layout, you can have it like this, which is a 3 cabin model, or a 2 cabin version, for which that would be a utility cabin. Moving forward, there's more stowage below the galley here. In those 4 drawers, again beneath the nav station here, you get a proper chart table, little home office area with obviously really good views up through there. So with these skylight hatches, you've got a forward opening one and a side opening one to increase your ventilation. And then that is what I'm talking about, is where the conduits of the running rigging run through this area here. It's not an integral handrail or whatever, because you have that on there. You've got a big fiddle on the side of the galley here with handhold in it, and handrails mounted on the sides as well. Same again on the side of this chart table. At the chart table, you've got a 45-degree panel there for your chart plotter, and then your instruments, electronics mounted in behind this cupboard door. So this has 2 touch screens on it for the Victron system, one to show your systems in terms of fuel tanks, lighting, water, that sort of thing, and the other one is showing the propulsion and battery system up there. And this one is on a 4G network, so you can monitor your boat from at home and see if or if you're just going ashore, if there's any alarms going off about it, you'd know about it. We've got you might be able to hear actually, we've got the aircon running on here. So say this boat has got all the options on it, got a water maker, got a washer dryer, got aircon, got an ocean vault, electric drive below the companionway. It's got a Fisher Panda 11 kilowatt DC genset as well behind that. So at the moment I can feel some nice cool air coming out of there. No, I can't. Out of there I can. And you can see the setup of the saloon here. So those leaves obviously come out of there, and it can be dropped down to fill in this space. And you'll also notice the thick ply cushions. So this is your comfortable reclining area, which you're unlikely to want to get up or out of too quickly. Moving into the forward cabin, you come down one more step. So that's one step down into the saloon and another. And they try to minimize this, but it helps create this space. I mean, that's almost as high up as I can reach up here to see out of that forward coach roof window. But it means you get, I don't know, 7 foot plus headroom right up to the berth itself. Plenty of volume in those forward ends. And again, look how much stowage there is. All in ventilated and lit lockers. That one's got a bit more hanging space in terms of depth in it as well. And then this bank of drawers below all of that as well. And below the berth itself, huge great chest drawer. Again, that was the feedback, make all the stowage as usable as possible. That's what I mean. All those raised lockers continue throughout. Loads of natural light. And then a sort of good compact size, but plenty of space been given to this has a separate shower compartment with its own door here as well. More stowage there and behind. Hello. And then yet another one. Bank of shelves there behind the door to the heads. Indirect lighting, soft lights, reading lights. All been done very well indeed. The aft heads area in this, you have, is a bit more compact, but there is a shower screen behind this door. To close off that area, and a good wet hanging locker in there as well, draining below into the shower compartment. And then if you have the two aft cabins, they're basically the same. This one looks a bit lighter because it has that hatch open into the cockpit. So I mean, that shows you the difference it makes in terms of natural light that comes into here, and ventilation as well. Again, there's loads of headroom here, probably 7.5 foot. To turn around and get changed in here. Good hanging locker and shelving there. More drawers below. Again, really big deep drawers on soft close mechanisms. And that hull window there giving even more light. And that's the access panel into the generator, which sits behind the engine bay itself. Both these aft cabins, the berths, can you see how that's been filled in there? So it can be a twin or it can be a double. So that's set up on this side that way. This one has a massive 7 kilogram washer dryer contained in that locker, which means you wouldn't obviously have any hanging stowage in here. But bear in mind, you don't need to have that, and there is yet more below here. So let me show you this as an example of the accessible stowage. So as I say, below the berth is all stowage, and look at that, just lifts on gas struts. And then you've got a good section aft, but then you've got this basket section, so that all lifts out, so you can use that top half without it going into the bilges, but there's still yet more room below it. All nicely sealed furniture as well, good joiner work, good attention to detail, bit of ventilation in there as well. And another panel there to get at the Fisher Panda genset there. The whole thing removes on those buttons. Same again outboard, that lifts on gas struts, more stowage beneath there, so that's got the infit in it at the moment for that twin berth. And if you chose the 2 cabin option, this would be a utility cabin. So this would all be a workbench here. You'd have an extra 300 litres of fridge freezer space aft if you wanted it, a big chest freezer or something. And this would be a fold down berth inboard as well. So the XC47 was designed from the get-go to have to offer a hybrid propulsion as well. So below this saloon step is the Victron lithium iron phosphate battery bank. So that's the first 30 kilowatt installation done on a production yacht apparently. And then I've lifted here the companionway steps to access the engine bay. So the engine bay, as I say, has been designed to either take an ocean volt electric system or a conventional diesel propulsion system. In this case it would be an 80 horsepower Yanmar. But there's the ocean volt electric drive. Pretty neatly done. And then behind that sits the DC generator, the FP 11 kilowatt, to help top up the battery banks. So what that means is that if you have this, using that with regeneration as well, which is what the Ocean Volt with their servo prop offers, that if you're sailing at 8 knots or above, you're regenerating 3,000 watts into the battery bank. So you can imagine in sort of half a day of sailing in good trade wind conditions, you would have topped up your battery bank nicely. And it's also nice and quiet. So they're saying, sailing yesterday, they're testing the boat out, but even when you're using propulsion, it's less than 60 decibels in the galley at full speed. And that will give you a 30 nautical mile range. So yeah, that's why it's, after having a DC genset is the only way really to go to top that up, rather than a fuel cell or something at the moment, especially for a blue water boat. That said, the first 7 clients have all chosen diesel propulsion. I've just popped up this floorboard as well to help show you that is a pretty thick looking floorboard, and you'd think that would be really heavy. It's not. That's plastic honeycomb in there with plywood on the either side of it. So they've kept weight down wherever they can. It's still an X yacht. It still has their tried and tested steel grid in the heart of the boat, and it's a infused epoxy boat. It uses sandwich bulkheads on the main bulkhead and forward, and there's lots of carbon stiffening in this boat as well. So the yard has centralised weight wherever possible. It's minimised it, but it's still a 14.5 ton yacht. The extra batteries needed for the hybrid system, generation and stuff would add another couple of 100 kilos. So how's the X mark the spot on this boat? Is it the best or one of the best blue water boats built? It's pretty early to decide that, but they have done a phenomenal job here. It's clear to tell, just coming on board here and looking around it for the first time, the quality of finish, the thought, the attention to detail that's gone into it. It's a very, very impressive looking yacht. This starts at 795,000 euros. So then put in the hybrid system, which is basically, with the extra batteries, the genset and everything, is another 120,000 euros on top of that. So with this boat, you're looking at over a million, 1.1 million XVAT. It's a fascinating project though. I hope you enjoyed the tour. See you next time.